Hey everybody, and welcome back to our channel. For those of you that don't know us, we're Luke and Alysha. Normally we do like RV travel vlogs in our 23-foot Class C RV, but recently we've had some exciting news to share with you all.
Yes, we finally have our little new addition to the RV family.
Back together, yeah, you take all my wrongs and make them better. Yeah, you're making me wanna try forever. I feel so free, oh my sweet baby.
So it was actually an emergency C-section Alysha had to have in the end. Bit of a wild ride compared to what we were expecting, but either way, she's here and healthy and we couldn't be happier.
Yeah, so actually we're going to spend a lot of the video talking about the birth story and how she came into the world, and we've got some footage from the hospital as well. So yeah, let's get into the birth story. Okay, so we just had our doctor's appointment. It's the 39, almost 40 week doctor's appointment, and my blood pressure's high, so they sent us to the hospital to have it monitored and possibly have some blood work done and to see basically if I have preeclampsia or not.
Yeah, it's been high the last 3 or so appointments we've done now, so we're gonna go get it checked out.
So.
Yeah. So we're at the hospital with baby though. Let's see what happens.
Yeah, luckily we packed our bags and brought the car seat and everything, because it was high at our last appointment and I was worried that it would be high again, but also just because you never know what's going to happen. We're already in Vernon, so we may not have started to leave if things would have been progressing and blah blah blah. So we have everything packed, but
yeah, we live about an hour away from the hospital. I guess we should mention that as well, that we're delivering at. So here we go. Let's see what happens.
Wish me luck. When we got to the hospital, we were taken up to the maternity floor and into the triage room. Like we said in the last clip, they wanted to monitor my blood pressure, and then they also ended up monitoring little baby's heart rate with a strap on my belly, as well as any contractions that I was having with a different strap on my belly as well. So yeah, we were all strapped in, and we were there for, I don't know, I think the test was supposed to take anywhere from 20 to 40 minutes depending on the results, and every so often the nurse would come around and check to see what my blood pressure was showing, because it was checking my blood pressure like every 10 or something minutes.
Yeah.
And she wasn't very happy with what my blood pressure was at. It was definitely a little too high still. So basically we were just laying there waiting for them to say, okay, you can go home, or we're going to admit you and start an induction.
Yeah, we kind of just thought they were going to lead to an induction anyway, just because of the blood pressure situation. You hadn't really had any contractions or anything going on, so we thought this might be it regardless, but got a little wilder from there.
So the night that she was born, we actually took some recordings in the hospital of explaining what had happened, and we didn't really know if it would make it into this video or if it would just be kind of for us to remember exactly what had happened, because it was a whirlwind. But yeah, I guess we'll just let us in the hospital the night that she was born explain her little birth story.
I was on the blood pressure non-stress test thing. They were monitoring contractions. I had 2 contractions that I didn't even feel. And then baby's heart rate and my blood pressure was being monitored. And baby's heart rate was pretty good, but then they had me lie on my side, and then it was a lot better. And then probably half an hour into the test or something, I moved a little bit, but not even much, so I don't even think it was anything that I did. But then her heart rate dropped to 40, which was crazy because it was at 140 before. And then they were freaking out. They couldn't find the heart rate. They found it, but that it was 40, and then blah blah blah. And they had me go on all fours. They had me switch positions. All of a sudden there were 6 or something nurses in there freaking out. She went 9 minutes without a good heart rate or a heart rate, or I don't know.
A good heart rate, yeah.
It's 9 minutes. They were freaking out. And then the doctor rushes in and says that they're putting a clamp on her head to get an accurate reading of her heart rate. But it was going to break my water. So all of a sudden we were going to like immediately have a baby no matter what. But anyway, so she put the clamp on and her heart rate was still low. And then they said, okay, you're going for a C-section and we're going to have to knock you out for the C-section.
Yeah, emergency C-section.
Everyone freaked out and like they're trying to put IVs in me, but my veins were blowing and she was trying like all these different things. They were taking my jewelry off me. They were stripping my clothes off of me. Crazy. And then a few minutes later, after the 9 minutes of her heart rate being bad, her heart rate was back up and it was at 170, trying to compensate for what had just happened. And she had a good heart rate from then on, but they were still going to do the C-section because it was extremely scary what had just happened. And they said that she needed to come out ASAP. Oh my god, my IV keeps beeping. So anyways, they kept prepping me. They got Luke in his scrubs.
Hey.
And they said at this point, if her heart rate stays good, then we can just do a spinal block and not have to be put under.
For a regular C-section
For
still.
a C-section. We were still doing the C-section no matter what.
But if they weren't able to not keep you awake, if they had to put you under, I wouldn't have even been allowed in there.
Yeah, so if her
For
heart
support.
rate did drop, then they would have had to put me under and Luke wouldn't have had to been there at all. So what next? They get everything ready, they wheel me down.
Okay, so she's getting set up right now for a C-section. I'm waiting here. Hopefully they let me in there still. It's an emergency C-section, so this is all happening real quick. But I'm allowed to film here, and hopefully allowed to film in the room, they said eventually too. But we get to meet our daughter today, guys. It's happening. I'm so excited.
Everyone is so frantic when I got into the operating room.
There's a lot in there too. There must be like 10 of them.
Yeah, I got quickly introduced to some people, like the anesthesiologist, and
Arm again. Beep.
and then yeah, I got transferred to the operating board bed thing, and they put in the spinal block, so I had to crunch over a pillow and hold the doctor's hand. She told me I could squeeze it, but not too hard because it was her operating hand.
Oh, that's risky.
And so they put in the spinal block. It really didn't hurt that much at all. Oh, I'm like shaky from the medication. But
Oh, really? I felt it.
then what happened?
What, did they probably flipped you over and I came in?
Oh yeah, and then they tilted the bed to the left to like make the medication go in the right spots and like go everywhere. And then they tested my belly with a piece of ice, I think it was, or something, and asked if I could feel if it was cold, and I couldn't. But then they asked if I could feel the touch, and I said yes. And they said, okay, that's normal. It should have felt like a piece of ice on your stomach. And then they put up the curtain, and they said once the curtain's up, then Luke can come in. So they put up the curtain. Somebody went to go get Luke. And then they did like a test on my stomach to see if it would hurt, and it didn't. And then literally, as Luke was walking in the door, I could feel that they were like cutting like at that moment.
Yeah, you told me.
And then like literally 30 seconds later, I could feel that they were tugging and like stuff was moving around inside my body, and it was so weird.
Yeah, you told me. I remember you saying to me, you were like, I think they're in me right now. I think they're doing it.
And then I held Luke's hand, and then like 15 seconds later, they said, okay, baby's out, and then she started crying. It was crazy.
It was adorable. Yeah, 6:29 operating, 6:30 birth time, she said. So literally within 1 minute, they were in and out.
And then it took, I don't know exactly time-wise, but it took quite a while for them to like stitch everything up. And the whole time it was just this weird feeling of like people like digging around, and like literally inside my body I could feel it. And then she came over and showed me little baby.
I got to hold her. I got to cut the cord.
Yeah, and
I
then
got
we
to take
her-
pictures.
Yeah, I took her to the table and cleaned her off, and we went over and visited. Got the cord, got to hold her. It felt like a really long time before she was able to come over to me.
Yes, that was too bad.
And then they put her up on my chest a little bit, and it was really hard to hold her because I was all numb and
Yeah.
shaking and all that kind of stuff. But then
How magical.
she stayed there. We had a little moment, and then I went to recovery.
After going through the footage of what we recorded for her like birth story in the hospital, I realized that we kind of left out a huge part of the story. We had spoken to the doctor the next morning about the surgery and everything that happened and why it happened and everything like that. And basically she told us that she doesn't know why Chloe's heart rate declined and why it stayed declined for 9 whole minutes in triage there. She said that it might have been that the cord was wrapped around her, but she doesn't really think so because when she took Chloe out, it wasn't like the cord was wrapped around her tightly and it didn't leave any marks or anything like that, like she would expect that it would have if it would have, made her heart rate go down like that significantly. So she says that she doesn't really know why, but she doesn't think that her heart rate had declined like that anytime previously because of, I guess they tested her oxygen levels and stuff like that and everything was perfectly fine. Like she came out perfectly pink, perfectly healthy. The NICU team was there just to like in case because it was such like an extreme situation, but she was perfectly healthy and didn't need any interventions at all. So it's a huge mystery about why everything happened the way that it did, but we are just so thankful that we were being monitored at that moment. Just, we don't know if we would have gone home if it would have kept happening and we would have had no idea because we wouldn't be monitoring her heart rate. So yeah, just so grateful that everything happened the way that it did and that she is happy and safe in the outside world here.
So after all of that unfolded, we then had to head to the recovery room and kind of wait for the anesthetics to wear off on Alysha. Luckily, all the nurses and everyone at the Vernon Hospital was so great. They even offered to take the pictures and they were super inclusive of trying to include me in the whole process as well and talk to me, explain what was happening, get pictures of me and Alysha together in the actual operation room. So they really did a great job with that. And then we got to settle into the recovery room otherwise, get some more pictures there with them. We actually even have a picture of the chart where you can see where the heart rate actually dropped down to the 50 beats per minute. And then you can see where it picks up again and starts reading clear on the line. That's when the doctor actually put the head clamp on baby and got a direct heart rate going there. And then you can see a little bit after that, it's where it recovered up all the way to 170 beats per minute, where normally it should be around 140. They said that was just kind of the heart trying to compensate and catch up on some of the pumping, just because it had been low for so long. But it was super nice. The nurses even gave us the picture of that and let us kind of fully be in the moment like they were, because they all found that pretty interesting to see that graph as well. Nurses from all over the hospital were coming in wanting to kind of see what had happened, because little Chloe here sure made a dramatic entrance, and everyone in the hospital was running around talking about it, and nurses we hadn't seen before too were all interested. So
Yeah.
it was super nice in the recovery room there.
And I gotta say, the nurses, the doctors, everybody were so nice. And,
Yeah.
it was obviously a very scary situation for both of us and probably for them as well.
Yeah.
And they were really just so caring and making sure that we were both okay and gonna get through this. And, I don't know, just so grateful for our whole team there. So while we were in the recovery area, we were just waiting for me to, be able to move my legs again. And, the anesthetic to kind of move down my chest because I was numb from here down. Ended up having to get a spinal block, so that's kind of what happened there. But yeah, so in the recovery area, we were able to do some skin with little Chloe and try some breastfeeding eventually, because at first I could hardly even hold her really because I was so numb and shaky and just
Yeah.
it was a crazy moment. But eventually we did some breastfeeding and then got moved up to our recovery room, which was actually a really nice room. Big window, which was nice to have all that natural light, and your bed was okay.
Yeah, it was okay. But even just the fact it was a private room, we had lots of space. It had just one giant kind of shower room, washroom included. It was I don't know, more or less a hotel room it felt like for us. We loved it.
So basically, we just slept whenever we could, obviously, and we were feeding little Chloe, taking care of her. it seriously like whizzed by. But we do have another little clip. It was 48 hours after she was born when we kind of updated, because honestly before that, picking up the camera was like the last thing on my mind.
Yeah, there was a lot on the go. We were taking her in. She was a little nocturnal with sleeping, and doctors and nurses were checking in constantly, making sure that the surgery went well, she was well, and just a whole lot going on. But
yeah, so here is our little 48-hour update on Chloe and her life in the hospital.
all right, so our little Chloe is a little over 48 hours old here now. She was born at 6:30, so a little bit getting close to sundown, but she's been doing great today now.
Yeah, wow. Like, time has absolutely flown by. We've been a little sleep deprived, but she's getting so good at feeding, she's getting so good at sleeping, and we're so happy.
Yeah, being C-section born at 6:30 at night, she's been so nocturnal those last few nights where even when she was done feeding, she would only really sleep if one of us held her. So we basically took shift work. We'd feed her, and then we'd hold her. We'd only get like 1 hour, a little over 1 hour sleeps in each, if that. And then she would be crying and waking each other of us up during that time. So really bad sleep the first, I guess, 2 nights there now. But
Yeah, but we're also getting used to things and
yeah,
learning
totally.
how to swallow her better and comfort her better and all that kind of stuff. So
Yeah, I think our swaddling technique has actually improved. We brought a swaddle of our own with a bit more of a stretchy material. That's what she's in right now, and she is just loving that, and it seems to make her sleep a little better. So we're pretty optimistic for our final night, night 3 here in the hospital coming up. Earlier in the day, Alysha fed her. She fed her for about 45 minutes of good feeding. So she's been doing a great job with the breastfeeding, but she fed her for about 45 minutes, and then we used the new swaddle for the first time. And we were able to lay her in the bed in the middle of the day when it was bright out, and she slept by herself, and we couldn't even like disturb her and wake her up, just doing our regular stuff. Normally that would always startle her, so hopefully tonight she can sleep good at night, and we can maybe both actually sleep at the same time.
for small periods of time at least. We still have to wake her up to feed her and all that kind of stuff, but
Yeah, she's on a 3-hour feeding window right now, and that's counting from when you fed her last, so less than 3 hours. But hey, compared to the last 2 nights, we'll take that. We just had some sushi delivered to us. We had a little bit of a sushi snack night here tonight because Alysha gets hospital food meals, but I don't get anything in the hospital, so we did sushi tonight. That was nice. And now we're just waiting for our nurse lady to come back, and she's going to show us how to bathe Chloe and actually use the bath. So we're looking forward to learning some new stuff, and I think we're just loving how well everything's going so far. It's going to be fun to get her home.
show her off. Come show her.
Show her off? Okay. So as you can see here, we got Mom. We've got her little pink blanket we brought along. Cute little toque with a little thingy on the top there. But this is the new swaddle. It's a nice stretchy fabric, and she just loves sleeping in it. Her little cheeks. Pretty cute, hey Alysha?
Pretty cute.
So in the end, we did stay there for 3 full nights. We thought maybe it'd be 2, but just because Chloe was born later in the day at 6:30, they wanted to keep us one more evening just in case. They were still monitoring Alysha's blood pressure. They wanted to make sure Chloe was getting good latch and feeding, so they kept us just one more night to make sure it was all going well. And then other than that, it was good to practice putting her in her car seat for the first time and getting ready to leave the Vernon Hospital. Well, it's official. We've been discharged from the hospital, and we're allowed to take little Chloe home.
Yeah, we survived our 3 nights at the hospital in total with our little baby girl,
Yeah.
and it's time to go home.
It all just kind of blurred together. Obviously, the first day was so dramatic and crazy. Late night kind of C-section, and then everything happening and all the recovery process to getting to the bedroom, and then having her have to feed and everything throughout the night. So we were just so tired that it just kind of carried on like that. So it was a busy 3 days, but looking back, it's just hard to believe it's already all over and it went so quick. So we're gonna kind of pack up in the room here, and then I'm gonna bring the car around to the front of the hospital. We have to get her into her car seat, and we're gonna get a nurse to double check it over. They make sure you can use the car seat right, have it set up safely, and then we have about an hour drive back to Salmon Arm.
And I think to myself, and I'm thinking out loud, we won't need nothing else for the rest of our time. And I know it so well, I will always be by your side.
All right, family, we ready to head home?
Let's go.
Let's head home, family. Look how snug you are.
As we're recording this today, Chloe's almost 2 weeks old now, which is crazy.
Yeah, it's flown by.
Seriously, everybody always says that, and I never really, I believe them, but it's crazy how much time flies by, especially in these early days when you're sleep deprived and everything that you're doing is for this little girl. So yeah, it's crazy. Almost 2 weeks old. She's been to the doctors and she looks perfect. We're going for another checkup just to make sure that she's back up to her birth weight, but she's eating really well, so I have no doubt that she'll be back at her birth weight.
And other than that, we're just taking it all in. I've started some renos on the RV, so RV rentals will be coming along soon enough here. And then hopefully we'll be able to get Chloe out camping before long, but
yeah,
it's going to be a fun spring and summer coming up for us all.
Anyways, thanks for tuning in, guys. We're so excited to introduce our little girl to you, and we hope that you're excited for our future RV adventures with her as well.
Yeah. So, if you enjoyed it, hit the like button, subscribe for more content. We'll be getting busy again here in spring and summer, of course. And we'll catch you in the next video otherwise, friends.
See you guys.
Take care.
Cause you glue all the pieces back together. Yeah, you take all my wrongs and make them better. Yeah, you're making me wanna try.